So last night I watched the entire speech that AOC and Bernie Sanders gave in Folsom, California. And folks, that's something I highly recommend you do if you can get the time. I understand that everybody's busy and got a lot going on these days, but if you got time to sit down and soak up an entire speech of Bernie and AOC, they're absolutely crushing it right now. They're completely on point and they're speaking on the issues at hand. And I think it really does good to hear the entire speech so you can get the whole context of all of it. Of course, we're just going to focus on a couple of clips today. But if you get time, watch the whole thing because their speeches right now are really resonating with people. And one of my favorite spots from Bernie's speech was when the crowd began to chant, "Bernie, Bernie." And he said, "This isn't about Bernie, it's about you." And that's how I've always felt about Bernie Sanders' message. It's always been a message of the people, and it's been resonating with people for 40 years. I saw where Elon Musk was trying to make fun of Bernie by showing clips of Bernie saying the same thing for the last 40 years as though that was an insult. And I thought, dude, you completely misread the room and completely misunderstood what was going on, because what that says to us is not that, oh, he's been saying the same thing for 40 years. It's that he's been having to say the same thing for 40 years because it's true. And when you watch an entire Bernie speech or an entire AOC speech, you're not going to hear all the fear, the hate, and the propaganda that MAGA loves to set and spew. You're going to hear a message of hope. You're going to hear ideas. You're going to hear things that affects our day-to-day lives and how we live. And you're going to hear ideas and solutions instead of just a bunch of fear and passing of the blame. And so I'm going to play you a couple of clips here from this Bernie Sanders rally. And this first one is one that I really enjoyed because Bernie's talking about the founding fathers and how they had just, got out from underneath England's rule and they didn't want a dictator. I absolutely love this one. Take a look.
The founding fathers of our country were not dummies. They had just fought a war against the British Empire and defeated the most powerful person on earth at that time, the King of England. And they sat around and they said, you know what? As we develop our new country, this is in the 1790s, what they were saying is we do not want to give one person unlimited power. And they developed a separation of powers. We got an executive, a legislative branch, and a judiciary to keep check on each other. And every single day, you got a president who wants more and more power for himself. He is usurping the power of the Congress. He is now challenging in an unprecedented way the role of the judiciary in America. Supreme Court recently ruled in a 9-0 decision that a man who was illegally picked off the street and sent to El Salvador has got to be returned. A 9-0 decision of the Supreme Court. Mr. President, obey the law.
I've had so many people say to me, people that I used to have respect for say to me, yeah, I'm okay with Trump being a dictator as long as he's doing what I want done. I'm okay with it. And whenever someone says they're okay with someone being a dictator, then I know they've never read a history book and they've never studied the foundation of this country, nor do they understand the foundation of this country. Because the founding fathers, and yes, they were flawed people. George Carlin said they were all, slave owners who wanted to be free. So they definitely had their contradictions, but they understood that we had just got out from under the rule of a king and they didn't want a king to be calling the shots again. And they made it very clear that one person should not rule over us. But MAGA has went for that. And what's so sad about them going for that, I truly do believe their hate and their bigotry is what led them right into this. Because Donald Trump got them all mad and got them all hating the wrong people, got their anger directed in the wrong direction. And then he was able to step in classic cult leader fashion and be like, I'm the one that can save you. I'm the person who can pull you back from the brink of destruction. And they believe it, and they go right along with it. But if they ever read a history book and understood the foundation of this country, they would know that this country was never intended to be a dictatorship. It was never intended to be ruled by a king. Those checks and balances were put in place for all of us. One of the things that Elon Musk has so twisted, and every time he says this talking point, you can tell he's just a parrot, just parroting the same thing. He loves to call people puppets, but he just parrots stuff as though he's on someone's lap. And one of the things that he loves to say is that, we're doing the will of the people through the president. The people voted for this man, so we're doing it through the will. This is the will of the people through this one man. And that's actually not how it was supposed to work. Yes, we vote for a president, but we also vote for senators. We also vote for congressmen. We also have the checks and balances in place to keep that person from going off the rails and becoming full-fledged dictator. So it's not about one guy doing everything. It's about that one guy being able to work within the confines of the system. And if he can't, then he's not a good leader, he's not a good president, and he doesn't deserve to hold the office. If he has to have all the checks and balances taken out of the way so he can work, he's not good at his job. And you couldn't get away with that wherever you work. If you went into your work today and said, hey, you know what, I'm just going to throw the handbook in the trash because I need to throw this handbook in the trash because I have to be able to do my job, you would get walked to the time clock, clocked out, and sent home. There's no way that people would put up with that for a minute. But in this next clip I'm going to show you of Bernie and Folsom, I love this because he talks about how that they want to keep us in fear and they want to keep us thinking that we have no control. Donald Trump loves to say, you don't have the cards, we have the cards. That's something they want to tell you because they want to keep you brainwashed to keep you living in fear. But check out what Bernie has to say about that.
What the ruling class of this country does, and they do it brilliantly, I must confess. What they do is essentially tell you, you are powerless. Ain't nothing you can do because we, the oligarchs, we got all the money, we got all the power, we own the media, we own the Congress. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Well, we are here this evening to tell them, hey guys, you got it wrong. Because when we stand together and not let Trump and his friends divide us up by the color of our skin, or where we were born, or our sexual orientation, or our religion, when we stand together, there is nothing we cannot accomplish.
Yeah, they want to keep us living in fear and thinking that we don't have a shot. And the reason they're trying to flood the zone so hard is because they want us all to eventually just give up and tap out. But we're not going to. We're going to keep speaking up. We're going to keep lifting up our voices. And when we do, the louder we get and the bigger crowds that Bernie and AOC and different people across this country draws, trust me, when they draw that kind of crowd, Donald Trump and Elon Musk is seeing it and they're getting nervous because they realize that there's one thing they can't beat, and that is the true power of the people. And we do have that power. They don't. They may have all the riches in the world, and they may be able to buy a bunch of things. They may be able to influence people with their money. But if we stay true to ourselves and true to our message, and again, it's our message, not Bernie's message. It's not AOC's message. It's our message. And as long as we stay true to that message and move the conversation forward and bring the heat, they're going to feel it, and they're going to understand, and they're going to be voted out. We have to stand up and do this more than ever. I tell people this all the time when I'm out at protest. You can't stop protesting. And you can't think that you're ever going to have the one big victory where you win and they all go home. They're never going home. They're never going to back down. They're never going to give up. And they're on the wrong side of history. So if they can fight that hard on the wrong side of history, we have to fight even harder on the right side of history. And when we win again, and we will win again. We will see victory. There will be brighter days ahead. And when we win, we have to realize that we don't get to retire as champion. We don't get to take our ball and go home. The fight for democracy will always continue as long as there's a breath in my body or yours. There will always be the fight for democracy. Our grandfather's generation was fighting for it, and they've been fighting for it all down through history, because there's always been a radical group that was out to destroy it. Our grandfathers in World War II and World War I, they fought against the fascism, they fought against the communism, they fought against the Nazis. Now we're seeing an uprise of it in this country like never before. Those people didn't go home, they didn't go silent, they just got stronger. So we can't go home, we can't stay silent, and we got to get stronger, and we will. So again, I highly recommend that you watch some of Bernie and AOC's speeches in their entirety. Of course, I'm not going to sit here and play an hour for you, but I highly recommend that you watch them so that you can get the full context of it all, because they're not just out there spreading a bunch of fear and propaganda and trying to get people scared into voting for them. They're talking about the real issues at hand and how to move the conversation forward, and then bringing ideas and solutions. And that's something that Donald Trump and MAGA has never had. They've not had any new ideas. It's all about tearing stuff down and all about people living in fear. And if they can get people living in fear, then they can control people. That's all they're about. They're just about control. And anybody that voted for Donald Trump is under their control. And AOC said something that I would like to zero in on before we go here. She said, everyone is welcome at our here. Everyone is welcome at our table, and even if you voted for Trump in the past and you see through it and you're tired of it, then you're welcome at this table too. And that's something I don't say enough, because a lot of times here on the channel I make it very clear, brutally clear, that I don't want to sit down with MAGA. I don't want to break bread with them, and I don't want to forgive people like Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and Donald Trump. I don't want to do that. But if someone has seen through it, and if someone has had enough of it, and someone now wants to walk away from that, then I welcome you right here at the table, and we can sit down together and we can put that behind us, because I think that people can change, people can grow, people can do better. And so if anyone out there has ever watched one of my videos and thought, well, Brando would never forgive me if I walked away, I'm only talking about that to the hardcore cult members when I say that, the ones that are refusing to leave, and the ones who are calling us the enemy from within and wants to see us sent to El Salvador. That's who I'm talking about. But if you ever want to walk away from that cult, there's a place at my table, and I want everyone to know that and understand it. So yeah, we'll keep lifting up our voices, and we'll get louder than them, and we will win. But when we win, we'll keep fighting. You got to take that anger and all. Sometimes it's best to use the anger to your advantage. And I know a lot of us have a lot of anger built up right now. Use it to your advantage, and don't ever lose sight on our democracy, because it's something that has to be fought for today, tomorrow, and forever.